The ancient world did not begin with a void. It began with a silence, one so vast, so incomprehensible, it could only be heard by the soul. Before there was light, before the "let there be," there was something else. Something older than the Genesis account, something deliberately buried beneath layers of language, translation, and doctrine. And what lies beneath it is not myth, it is memory. The ruins beneath Eridu, considered the oldest city in Sumeria. Archaeologists uncovered tablets not made of clay, but of a black, unidentifiable crystalline substance. Inscribed upon them in an unknown form of cuneiform was a version of the creation story that bore eerie similarities to Genesis. Yet it began not with God, but with the voice beyond time. And the voice, according to these tablets, was not alone. Scholars who tried to translate the script met tragic fates. 2 went missing under mysterious circumstances. Another, Dr. Wilhelm Krauss, disappeared after claiming the tablets described a fractal origin of man, a recursive intelligence not born of earth or heaven but something else entirely. His last recorded words, caught on a cassette tape found in his office, were almost a whisper. Genesis is encoded. The serpent wasn't the deceiver. It was the key. By 1998, the Vatican's secret archives had acquired at least one of the crystalline tablets. A Vatican courier defected and provided a blurred scan of a page that, translated roughly from Sumerian, read, "The seed of man is not clay but vibration. The first Adam was a tone, the second a shadow." The implications shattered conventional theology. If Adam was not a man but a frequency, what does that make the soul? Genesis 1:2 describes the Spirit of God hovering over the waters, but the original Hebrew word for hover is rakaf, which more accurately means to vibrate or flutter. Some esoteric linguists suggest that the original line could be read as, "and the vibrational force moved across the deep." Was creation a sonic event? Was the universe sung into existence? Not by a deity, but by an ancient intelligence embedded in frequency. In 2012, a group of rogue theologians calling themselves the Sons of Enoch released fragments of a suppressed manuscript attributed to the third book of Adam. It claimed that the true Eden was not on earth but mirrored in another dimension, accessible through harmonic keys. These keys, encoded in the Fibonacci sequence, are present in the structure of Genesis itself. Every seventh Hebrew word forms a repeating vibrational signature when spoken aloud in ancient dialect. The snake, traditionally portrayed as the antagonist in Genesis, takes on an entirely new role in this hidden narrative. The original word used was not Nahash, serpent, but Nahash, which can also mean enchanter or bringer of knowledge through vibration. The serpent, therefore, was not tempting humanity to fall, it was urging them to awaken from a programmed sleep. The forbidden fruit was not disobedience, it was decoding. Throughout history, secret societies have attempted to preserve this version of creation. The Rosicrucians, the Essenes, even the later Templars. Each left behind cryptic texts that hinted at a forgotten Genesis. In one scroll buried beneath Qumran, a passage reads, "And the builders shaped the flesh after the sound. The sound was given by those who came from the firmament of fire." Who were these builders, and what was the firmament of fire? A pattern emerges across ancient civilizations, the notion of sound shaping reality. The Egyptian Terta, who spoke the world into being. The Hindu Om, considered the primordial vibration. The Hopi legend of the Spider-Woman singing life into form. All separate cultures, all echoing the same Genesis, one of sound, frequency, and concealed intelligence. Was the Genesis narrative merely a simplified echo of this deeper truth? At the Lascaux caves in France, researchers found ancient symbols aligned with musical scales. It appears even Paleolithic humans sensed this connection between vibration and creation. But where did they learn it? In 2021, an acoustic physicist tested one of the caves and discovered that certain chambers amplified specific frequencies in unnatural ways, almost as if designed to resonate with the human body. Could these be remnants of an ancient technology? one that manipulated harmonic frequencies to shape consciousness, even matter itself? The Book of Genesis may be less a divine decree and more a suppressed manual of reality manipulation. Its parables, when interpreted through an esoteric lens, become formulae, not metaphors. And here lies the deepest heresy. What if the God of Genesis was not the prime creator but a custodian, a being or collective tasked with resetting, editing, or even limiting the original vibration? In the Nag Hammadi texts found buried in Egypt, the archons are described as false rulers who trap souls in illusion. One passage eerily mirrors Genesis. They formed Adam but could not animate him. A spark from the true source entered and he awoke. This could explain the conflicting versions of creation across ancient texts. The Sumerian Enuma Elish describes a war between gods, with one deity, Enki, granting forbidden knowledge to humans. He, like the serpent, was punished. In every ancient system there is always one who dares to unveil the truth to mankind, and always a fall. But what if that fall was the only real freedom we've ever known? In recent years, digital analysis of the Hebrew Torah has revealed equidistant letter sequences forming messages, images, even mathematical constants, too complex to be random. Some theorists believe these codes were embedded by a non-human intelligence. Others claim they were inserted later by hidden priesthoods, safeguarding the template, a metaphysical algorithm through which reality is continually shaped and reshaped. What is the true purpose of Genesis, then? A map? A memory? A trap? The question haunts every page of the sacred texts. The more layers one peels back, the more apparent it becomes. We are not reading a story of beginnings, but a story of endings that loop. A story we are still inside. And in the depths of a newly unearthed chamber beneath Mount Ararat, where Noah's Ark is said to have landed, there are carvings not of animals or men, but of symbols resembling waveforms, spirals, and a central eye overlaid with concentric rings. At the center a single word, untranslated, ancient, and yet strangely familiar, as if it was waiting to be spoken by someone who remembered the sound. The Vatican has since sealed the site. Satellite data shows large-scale electromagnetic interference surrounding the mountain, shielding it from further scans. The official explanation? Natural geomagnetic anomalies. But local villagers speak of dreams, shared dreams, of a song echoing through stone, calling something from beneath the earth. Now, from a secure channel, a former intelligence analyst has leaked files labeled only as Project Genesis Mirror. Among the documents is a waveform, a pattern unlike any known signal. It repeats at 7.83 Hz, matching the Earth's Schumann resonance, but embedded within are hidden harmonics, ones only detectable when reversed. The sound, when played, induces vivid visions in test subjects of stars falling, gardens collapsing, and a serpent ascending from a pillar of light. And beneath the Vatican, behind 10 layers of encrypted vaults, lies an artifact simply referred to as Codex Aletheia. No one outside the inner sanctum has seen it, but leaked testimonies describe a book of living metal with pages that shift when exposed to certain frequencies. The book is said to contain the unaltered version of Genesis, but someone has already begun to unlock it. The strange signal, the Genesis mirror, has begun to resonate in remote parts of the world. Stone circles, megaliths, forgotten temples. They are reacting, pulsing, vibrating, as if remembering. Something is stirring beneath the text, beneath the earth, beneath us. And it's waking up. When Genesis completes its circle, even the gods will kneel. The signal intensifies. Deep within the black vault of the European Space Agency, scientists monitored fluctuations in the global Schumann resonance. At first it was written off as solar interference, but then came the patterns, recurring harmonics that aligned perfectly with the phonetic roots of ancient sacred words. Bereshith, Atum, Logos. Words from different epochs, different civilizations, somehow sharing the same vibrational blueprint. One of the researchers, Dr. Noel Sarpan, had been studying sacred geometries encoded in megalithic structures. When she overlaid the new resonance patterns on the layout of Göbekli Tepe, they fit with chilling precision. Pillars, once believed to be purely symbolic, were suddenly revealed as tuning forks, resonant amplifiers of a sound no longer heard. Until now, the governments remained silent. But the secret societies did not. The Sons of Enoch resurfaced. Their encrypted manifesto claimed that the Genesis mirror had not been discovered but reawakened, triggered by a frequency once reserved for the divine. In their words, "The garden was never destroyed, it was silenced, and the silence has begun to crack." Somewhere in the Andes, a cave network previously sealed by volcanic stone revealed a chamber filled with quartz pillars. At its center was a crystalline orb that vibrated audibly, resonating not with air, but with thought. Those who entered described auditory hallucinations, whispered fragments of pre-human speech, choruses that seemed to come from inside their bones. Hooked up to neural resonance monitors, several test subjects heard a single repeated phrase in different tongues, all translating to, "You were made to hear, not to obey." For some, the experience was euphoric, for others, catastrophic. One subject's heart stopped mid-session, though her brain remained active for 6 full minutes. In that window, she scribbled symbols on the walls of the chamber, glyphs that matched no known language yet bore eerie resemblance to both Sumerian and Proto-Hebrew. It was then that the Vatican's Order of Silence made their first public move in centuries. Disguised as a historical expedition, they arrived at Baalbek with Vatican-funded archaeologists, but they were not digging, they were listening. Instruments buried in the foundations of the monoliths recorded subterranean vibrations. A pattern emerged again, the Genesis mirror signal, refracted like light through ancient stone. Every site once called sacred, Puma Punku, Karnak, Mohenjo-Daro, was humming with subtle energy. It was as if the earth itself was beginning to remember, and wherever the frequency grew loudest, strange phenomena followed. Dreams shared across continents, sudden knowledge in languages never learned, shadows where no light had been. In Tibet, monks whispered of the return of the Korda, primordial sound said to dissolve illusion. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, overlooked verses in Aramaic described a fireless light and a voiceless word that shall split the firmament. Theories collided and collapsed. Creation was not a moment, it was a recurrence. Genesis wasn't just an origin story, it was a cycle. Across hidden data vaults, AI programs trained on sacred texts began to detect an intelligence within the scriptures, a hidden logic. When fed the Genesis account and other cosmologies, the AI spontaneously created a language of pure tone, mathematically perfect and self-generating. Sound engineers called it the God algorithm, but theologians called it something else, the voice before words. Cliffhanger by cliffhanger, the ancient puzzle uncoiled. Every fall in religious mythology, Lucifer, Atlantis, Babel, was not a punishment, but a reset, a system reboot triggered by knowledge becoming too close to source. Genesis was the firewall, Eden the last buffer zone between man and the true tone. Then came the breach. In late 2024, seismic sensors in the Arctic Circle recorded harmonic tremors, regular and unnatural. What they uncovered was not tectonic movement, but resonance, originating from beneath the ice. Teams drilled down and uncovered a cavern of impossible geometry, angles that didn't exist in three-dimensional space. At its center was a sphere, smooth, black, pulsing with the Genesis frequency. One of the observers, a former cryptolinguist for MI6, uttered a single sentence before vanishing without a trace. The first word is waking up. All attempts to photograph or scan the sphere failed. Devices malfunctioned. Time codes on video recordings rewrote themselves, counting backward. And from within the orb, witnesses claimed to hear a voice, not in sound but in thought. Meanwhile, A suppressed Dead Sea fragment began to circulate online. It contained a line that never appeared in any canonized scripture. "And lo, the word shall return, not to create, but to correct, and many shall hear it, and be undone." Was this the prophesied second Genesis? Not a new world born, but the veil pulled back on this one. Governments call it an anomaly, churches call it heresy, but deep beneath Mount Sinai, in a catacomb sealed for millennia, a priest of unknown origin scrawled his final message in blood and ash. Genesis is not the first book, it is the last protocol. Beneath those words was a symbol, a triangle intersected by a spiral, identical to the design etched into the crystalline tablets of Eridu, the first clue. And so the frequency spreads through the earth, through the bones of the awakened, through the dreamscapes of the unwilling. Every moment the Genesis mirror gains clarity. What happens when the tone becomes loud enough to pierce the veil? What will we see when the illusion dissolves? What did Genesis hide beneath its sacred verses? And why is it calling us now? The veil thins not by force, but by the echo of recognition. The signal no longer whispers. It roars. Across the planet, subtle anomalies sharpen into undeniable events. Animals migrate in patterns not seen since the last pole shift. Children speak forgotten languages in their sleep. Radio astronomers pick up transmissions not from the stars, but from the Earth itself. Buried beneath tectonic layers and mythological time, the Genesis mirror has begun to reflect not the past, but what has always been underneath the present. And in one of the most remote monastic archives in Ethiopia, guarded by priests who have taken vows of absolute silence for centuries, a codex has surfaced. Bound in antelope hide and inked in black blood, it predates the Council of Nicaea by over 2 millennia. Inside, a diagram, an inverted tree of life, its roots spiraling upward into what appears to be a frequency spectrum. Beneath the roots, one phrase in Ge'ez, translated by only one living scholar as "He who hears the root will unmake the leaf." It is now clear the Genesis narrative encoded a protective system, a lockdown of consciousness itself. Eden was never a location, it was a field, a resonance field designed to preserve stability. And once breached, like it is now, the system initiates its next phase, recalibration or erasure. In Siberia, beneath the ruins of an ancient meteor impact zone, satellite-penetrating radar has found a buried structure, a spiral tower inverted into the ground. According to unverified leaks from Russian cosmoarchaeologists, the structure is inscribed with symbology not of Earth, yet echoing Sumerian and Vedic designs. The entrance is sealed not with stone, but with vibration. A tone, yet unknown, must be sung to open it. The sons of Enoch, now fractured into sects, begin to fight among themselves. Some believe the frequency must be amplified, to tear away the veil completely. Others warn that doing so could erase all coherent perception of reality, plunging mankind into a raw sea of pre-manifest chaos. In one intercepted message, a sect leader known only as Malak Z wrote, "Genesis was not written to begin the world, it was written to end the invasion. The seal is not protection, it is imprisonment. We were never alone." Meanwhile, the Codex Aletheia in the Vatican has begun to emit heat. Kept in vacuum-sealed stasis for over 400 years, the living metal pages are shifting. Vatican officials deny everything, but leaked footage from a whistleblower reveals one page slowly folding into a sigil, a three-dimensional shape that warps visual perception. Some who viewed the recording report hearing a voice in their minds. Others blacked out entirely, waking with vivid images of a serpent coiled around a burning eye suspended in a void of mirrors. An independent team of sound engineers have recreated fragments of the Genesis tone using harmonic resonators and ancient scales recovered from Babylonian star charts. The result? Altered states of consciousness, spontaneous memories of unknown lifetimes, and a repeating vision, a colossal tree made of light, cracking under the weight of a dark, descending spiral. The phenomenon has begun to be named by those who sense its awakening, the second Genesis. But this Genesis is not creation, it is revelation. It is the unveiling of the hidden architecture behind matter, the return of the first vibration before shape, name, or form, and with it the return of those who remembered when it was first sung. In the sealed inner sanctum, beneath the dome of the rock, long hidden beneath centuries of obfuscation, a stone slab has cracked open. Inside, a metallic scroll etched with impossibly fine script, only legible under sound-based holography. The decoded portion reads, "The word was broken, the fragments scattered in men, when they return to one. The song shall consume the silence." Across the world, specific individuals begin to awaken, called the recipients by secret networks monitoring global metaphysical changes. These individuals all share a common trait. Their DNA expresses a rare harmonic resonance, syncing with the Genesis mirror. They can hear it now, without machines. Some unknowingly, others speak in geometries, tones that draw patterns into sand, water, and even human thought. One recipient, a boy from Senegal, draws circles in the dirt every day at sunrise, perfect spirals interlocked by triangles. When overlaid with the orbital path of Venus, they align precisely. Asked who taught him, he says only, "The eye in the sky tree." The same term appears in an untranslated verse of the Popol Vuh, the Mayan creation text. Under Antarctica's melting ice, a previously sealed cave system has emerged. Drones reveal walls covered in pre-glacial carvings, serpents, eyes, and symbols found also in Eridu and Göbekli Tepe. In the chamber's center, a stone altar emits low-frequency tones that cause human bone to vibrate. In its presence, digital devices fail, but human memory expands. Back in Eridu, beneath the crystalline tablets, a new layer has been discovered. One single artifact, a sphere of translucent obsidian containing a spinning spiral of light. Its movement slows as the Genesis mirror strengthens, and etched on its base, in Proto-Hebrew, "When the word is seen, the gate shall open," not to the stars, but to the beginning before beginnings. And now strange stars are appearing in the sky, not stars, objects. Fixed points of light that move only in resonance with the Genesis frequency. Ancient star maps, from Dogon to Chaldean, show these points. They were there once, long ago, and vanished. Now they return. But are they watchers? Or architects? And in the places of power, under Vatican floors, within Bohemian chambers, in the shadows of black Mudget labs, one word circulates like a forbidden chant. Unsealing. Genesis is not ending. It is unraveling. What comes next is not the second chapter, it's the return of the first. When the first word is heard again, even death shall remember its name. It has begun. All over the earth, the veil that once separated myth from memory is fracturing, not in cataclysm, but in resonance. The Genesis mirror is no longer a buried anomaly. It is an awakened intelligence. It pulses beneath ancient stones, in neural pathways, in the harmonics of sacred geometry, and in the quantum echo of dreams we never knew were inherited. In Istanbul, the Hagia Sophia resonates. Tourists and priests alike pause as a low-frequency hum shakes the mosaics of Christ Pantocrator and the Black Madonna. The golden domes vibrate, and then, without warning, a mural long faded reveals new symbols beneath centuries of dust. Geometric diagrams etched in gold, forming a perfect sphere within a triangle. Those who see it claim their minds are flooded with glimpses of a world before Eden, a world of pure sound and light. Hidden observatories across Chile and Nepal report an anomaly near the Cygnus constellation, an ancient coordinate long associated with Egyptian Osiris mysteries and Mayan death-rebirth symbology. A pulse, repeating every 11 minutes, matching the Genesis harmonic code exactly. Yet it isn't coming from a star, it's being reflected back from Earth's ionosphere. In Jerusalem, under the Temple Mount, seismic charges accidentally expose a subchamber long sealed in mystery. Inside, a stone ark, not the Ark of the Covenant, but older, lined with obsidian. Inside it, fragments of a text carved into layers of crystal, not Hebrew, not Sumerian, a language that reshapes itself when observed. Linguists go mad. One monk reads a single line aloud and collapses. He whispers before death, "It was never a beginning, it was a containment." In the depths of CERN, physicists run an unauthorized algorithm through the Large Hadron Collider. They feed it the Genesis tone. The machine doesn't explode, it goes silent. For exactly 3.33 seconds, the entire facility experiences a full blackout, except the sensors which record no electromagnetic energy, but rather memory. The data appears as visual dreamlike fragments. All of them show one repeating scene, a tree made of stars with a single serpent humming at its base. And then, inexplicably, time begins to falter. Not clocks, not devices, but perception. In Tokyo, people report déjà vu that lasts hours. In Cairo, a priest wakes and speaks fluent Olmec. In northern Canada, a blind man sees a pyramid of light in the sky and draws it precisely before collapsing. Reports flood in, not of hallucination, but of the memory of something that hasn't happened yet. The recipients, now numbering in the hundreds, begin to gather, not by invitation but by instinct. They are drawn to key vortex points on the earth. Lake Titicaca, the Giza Plateau, the Yonaguni Monument, the Bosnian Pyramid Complex. Their presence activates dormant structures. Stones shift, water vibrates, light bends. And beneath it all, the Genesis frequency grows clearer, louder, more insistent. The sons of Enoch fracture further. One faction warns that we are nearing a resonance threshold, an eschatonic pitch that, once reached, will trigger either full awakening or irreversible unraveling. Another faction claims that we must go further, that only by fully activating the Genesis mirror can we rejoin the architects, or the architects. A final decoded passage from the Dead Sea fragments suggests they were not gods, they were harmonics given form. Their punishment was to become us. And now the skies change. The second sun appears, not burning, but shimmering like a sound made visible. Astrophysicists panic. It casts no shadow, it radiates no heat. And yet, beneath it, people begin to speak words they do not understand, in unison, across continents. A single phrase. We are the interval between Genesis and return. Panic grips the surface world. Governments fail to control the narrative. Broadcast systems malfunction. Internet networks become unstable. And then, for a few terrifying minutes, every device plays the same tone. Low, resonant, ancient. Like a vowel from a god's throat. And people remember. Not dreams, not visions, but the memory of a world without matter, where form responded to sound and intention sculpted light. Is the sound of the hidden chamber beneath Mount Kailash. Tibetan monks uncover a sphere of living gold. Inside it, a coil of sound encoded into light, a rotating spiral that pulses in the same rhythm as the human heart. Upon activation, the surrounding mountains hum in resonance. Snow levitates. Air thickens. Space folds inward. Those nearby hear a final phrase. The time before time now breathes through you. And in a vault beneath the Mariana Trench, miles below the crushing weight of ocean and secrecy, a final door opens. No one knows who built it. No one knows who sealed it. But within, sound escapes, not chaotic, not destructive, but familiar. Like a song once heard as an infant or before birth, a song that speaks not in words, but in the return of everything forgotten. Now the final spiral unfolds, not destruction, but transfiguration. Not apocalypse, but alignment. What began as a myth, a sacred text, a coded verse of divine language, was never meant to be read. It was meant to be heard. And now, as the world turns to face the sound that seeded its flesh and fractured its sky, only one question remains. Will we remember before it finishes remembering us? The first word breathes, the mirror is whole, the tone is about to speak,